Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Within the vast universe ocean, only the two Holy Land universes, namely Purple Moon Holy Land Universe and East Emperor Holy Land Universe, were able to transcend and survive through the reincarnation era. Yet speaking of the longest history, strongest power, deepest foundation, naturally, the winner was the East Emperor Holy Land Universe, which had existed up until now, was still an unknown figure to all. Within the East Emperor Holy Land Universe, there was the Endless Godly Sector, a place where 90% of the entire Holy Land Universe's undying godly spirits, 99% of its universe knights, all its universe masters, and all its universe supreme masters gathered. The entire place was beautiful and magnificent, peaceful and tranquil. There were countless buildings of different cultural styles, and various rare flowers and plants could be found everywhere. Ang. Bang. Woo. Roar. Hush. Hi. In the middle of Endless Godly Sector, there was a towering green tree that connected everything within the whole Godly Sector, and was constantly transmitting sounds out in a multidirectional manner to spread the news to all parts of the Godly Sector. This big tree was ancient and deep green. It was very upright and towering, and all around it, there were many vines that were like jade carvings. When the wind blew, the tree gently swayed along, giving out intermittent bouts of soul-captivating voices. Many figures were currently seated cross-legged under this ancient tree. At one glance, there was seemingly no end to the sea of people. Boom. With a sudden jolt, the entire big tree radiated a dazzling cyan light. Boom. Then the cyan light was transformed into an endless red light. Boom. The towering tree went on to emit an endless black light. Boom. It was transformed into endless blue light. Boom. Last of all was a dazzling golden light. Thereafter, the entire ancient tree was encircled by layers of apertures, 5 layers to be exact, so dazzling and resplendent that at that point in time, the entire Endless Godly Sector could see the tree in this glorious state. Ancestor Tree. Ancestor Tree has shown its 5-colored light halo. Ancestor will make his appearance soon. Ancestor will make his appearance soon. Ancestor. The moment the numerous godly spirits, undying fighters, universe knights, and even universe masters, who were all originally seated cross-legged under the towering, ancient trees, saw the 5-colored light halo surging out from the ancestor tree where they were all enveloped in a surrounding so dense with airflow, they were all shocked and excited. There were even some undying godly spirits, who immediately burst into loud sobs, while others fell to their knees trembling in excitement. Ancestor. East Emperor Holy Land Universe, an existence that had been around for an eternity. Ancestor, East Emperor, was the supreme being of all living souls within the whole of East Emperor Holy Land Universe. Yet, throughout the endless years that passed, Ancestor East Emperor was practically non-existent, as he almost never appeared. Even many universe masters, who lived through many rounds of reincarnations, had never seen him in person before. Not to mention the world out of Universe Ocean. Beyond Universe Ocean, not a single great being had ever met this ancestor of the two Holy Land universes. This was why Ancestor was known as the first great being of Universe Ocean. However, when compared with the ancestor of the two Holy Land universes, who had long transcended reincarnation, Ancestor East Emperor was still a notch lower. Yet even within the two Holy Land universes, it was extremely difficult for them to catch a glimpse of their own ancestors. Even for this ancient East Emperor to make an appearance, the chances were so slim that it was pathetic, and every time he made an appearance, the ancestor tree would display this 5-colored light halo. Ancestor is going to appear soon. Ancestor. Even all the universe masters in their own palaces were shocked and excited. From birth until today, I have lived through a total of 82 reincarnation eras, but not once have I met Ancestor. Ancestor is finally going to appear. A universe master was so excited that he forgot all about his disciples and teleported himself right away to where Ancestor Tree was. The last time I met Ancestor was 119 reincarnation eras ago. Ancestor has appeared. Craziness. All of endless godly sector seemed to have fallen into a crazy state. This was the heart of the most ancient Holy Land universe, the very core of their pride. So proud of it were they that they vaguely started to look down on Purple Moon Holy Land universe. And from the size of a Holy Land universe, one could also tell their East Emperor ancestor was much more powerful than the Purple Moon ancestor. It was an absolute pride, and they highly regarded East Emperor ancestor with utmost admiration. Numerous streams of light appeared and gathered at the bottom of ancestor tree. Countless great beings floated in mid-air. Those who dared float in mid-air were at least universe masters, or universe supreme masters. At one glance close to 1,000 beings were in mid-air, scattered all around ancestor tree. Each and every one was silently waiting, in full deference, for their almighty ancestor. Ang. Bang. Woo. Roar. Hush. Hi. An inexplicable voice suddenly sounded loudly. Every great being present was intoxicated by this sound, including the few universe supreme masters. Amidst a strange music, an immensely dazzling figure appeared out of thin air, high up in the sky. It wore a robe that was covered with countless green branches and leaves, and the robe was radiating an intensely hazy cyan light that was rich in vigor and life. The intense cyan green light shone upon and enveloped the hundreds of millions of great beings waiting and kneeling beneath it, comforting them all. Instantly, those whose injured godly bodies were damaged were completely healed. All the living souls, regardless of whether they were undying or universe supreme masters, gave him their full attention. Then, respectfully, they all shouted in unison, "Ancestor." There was total silence as all the living souls looked up at Ancestor East Emperor with burning gazes. East Emperor looked down at them all. His entire body was bathed in the intense cyan light that seemed to obscure him from clarity. Even the few universe supreme masters, and few hundred universe masters, could feel a supremely oppressive force come over them, albeit an invisible one. I heard that within the universe boat of the three most dangerous lands in the universe ocean, there has been the birth of an inheritance. This is the inheritance of Duandong River Wu, is this true? East Emperor slowly articulated his question. Several hundreds of universe masters, and universe supreme masters, respectfully replied in unison, yes. The news had only reached them a short while ago. There was no way anything that happened within the Holy Land universe could be hidden from East Emperor. This Duandong River Wu's inheritance is a top-notch inheritance within that powerful ancient civilization. East Emperor said, "My life. North True Star Master, you shall personally lead a team of 20 universe masters, 200 universe knights, and 2,000 undying fighters, and head for that universe boat at the fastest speed possible. Send every member of the team into fight for that inheritance." "Yes," a man in a white robe immediately replied with deference. North True Star Master was an extremely ancient being, and he was a universe supreme master. Of course, his status of a universe supreme master had been attained as early as when he was in the primal universe era. He existed in the same era as East Emperor. Yet his miniature universe had fallen into a state of decadence a long time ago, so he was based in the Holy Land universe for daily life. "Are there any volunteers?" East Emperor looked down. The inheritance can only have one heir. The rest who fail to be the chosen one will be at risk of annihilation. "I'm willing. Willing. I'm willing to go. Willing." Almost instantaneously, from the sea of great beings kneeling on the ground, a large number of universe knights and undying godly spirits volunteered. As for the universe masters in mid-air, a dozen of them shouted out their willingness. Their number was much smaller because they were, after all, a minority group within the Holy Land universe. Let's leave it to the elders to discuss and finalize a detailed list of names. East Emperor looked down and slowly added, "We must finalize the list as fast as we can, so that we can head for the universe boat as quickly as possible. With a force of 20 universe masters, 200 universe knights, and 2,000 undying fighters, we are going for that Duandong River's inheritance. My East Emperor universe must obtain that inheritance. I need that inheritance." "Yes," all said in unison, in one voice filled with excitement. East Emperor needed it. This instantly drove the countless great beings beneath him into a feverish state of enthusiasm. It was merely a short moment, just enough for a cup of tea. North True Star Master was on board a dazzling, polygonal black sphere, and was advancing at high speed within the universe ocean. I have not set foot in universe ocean for a good dozen reincarnation eras. Since I am making my appearance now, I shall make sure that I seize this inheritance for East Emperor Universe. On the same day, when the news reached Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, the equally mysterious Purple Moon ancestor also made an appearance at long last. He too gave orders to his clan to necessitate the need to obtain that Duandong River's inheritance. Understood. Understood, ancestor. This inheritance must belong to us, the Purple Moon Holy Land. Dear Bug Master is already there. We have the greatest advantage. Let's go. According to ancestor's order, 1,500 undying fighters, 150 knights, and 15 Universe Masters shall rush over as fast as possible. Universe Supreme Masters will be able to rush over there quickly, as their speeds are naturally extremely fast. The two Holy Land universes of the Divine Eye clan were very similar in strength of power. When compared with one another, the result was all the crazier. The avatars of the 7 true masters gathered. This is our only chance. Doomsday is nearing. We must seize this Duandong River's inheritance. The previous complete inheritance that we have obtained, when compared to Duandong Rivers. Obviously, there is a vast difference in status. And from what Shadow Dust and Sorcerer Sprite reported, even after Duandong River's annihilation, the methods he had put into motion after all these years to seek an heir were intimidating and frightening. We can tell a thing or two about how powerful his inheritance will be. I suspect that the inheritance is not restricted to only Universe Masters. It is likely that even Universe Knights and Universe Supreme Masters can be potential heirs. The avatars of the 7 true masters gathered in the void space to discuss with one another. I am willing to go, 7th true master spoke up. Even if I were to meet with any danger, I have my palace supreme true treasure. Besides, I am a Universe Supreme Master. I don't believe that the Duandong River, who was annihilated endless reincarnation eras ago, is able to leave behind a method so deadly that it can kill me. I will go with 7th. First True Master nodded slowly. Instantly, there was an uproar. First True Master. Teacher. First True Master, how can you be the one going? If all of us should fail, the mission of transcending a reincarnation era has to depend on you. Divine Eye, do not be so reckless. First True Master was the most powerful great being of the entire Divine Eye clan. If he were to take the risk and be annihilated in the process, the clan would be in deep trouble. Speaking of power, I am one notch lower than Ancestor. Even if I were to compare with Huge Axe Creator, I might, at most, be on par. First True Master sighed. But to achieve a breakthrough of a reincarnation era. For countless reincarnation eras, only the ancestors of the 2 Holy Land universes were able to succeed. I cannot even surpass Ancestor, nor Huge Axe Creator. Who am I to even think I can succeed in transcending a reincarnation era? It's just too difficult. This time around, I'm afraid it would be our Divine Eye clan's very last chance. Regardless, Divine Eye, you cannot be so reckless. I will go with 7th. We just need to deploy more Universe Masters and Universe Knights. Yes, 2nd and 7th. We shall place all hopes on you both. Soon, all arrangements were properly in place. The Divine Eye clan had sent 2nd True Master and 7th True Master, and with them, they lead a team of 20 Universe Masters and 100 Universe Knights in their quest for the inheritance, headed for the Universe Boat. To the Divine Eye clan, this had become a desperate fight arising from jealousy over whose clan was more superior. Groups of powers were indeed going crazy for the inheritance, especially the first reincarnation era, as they were originally in the face of impending doomsday. The second reincarnation era and primal universe were also coveting it. This was probably what the line "a man who does not have foresight will find worry right at his doorstep meant. This so-called Do and Dawn River's inheritance, if they were to miss it this time, would likely not reappear again for at least the next few reincarnation eras. If the various groups of powers knew that the ancestors of the two Holy Land universes had made appearances just to give orders for this inheritance, it would probably drive nearly 100 groups of powers from the three great reincarnation eras into an even higher state of fervor. The outside world was wild with enthusiasm, but inside the life and death corridor within the boat of Mausoleum, silence prevailed. Dear Bugmaster, Luo Feng, Shadow Dust Master, and Sorcerer Sprite Master were carefully flying along the corridor at a reduced speed. By the time Luo Feng received news from his race, Dear Bugmaster, Shadow Dust Master, and Sorcerer Sprite Master had already learned of it much earlier. This went to show the great importance the races and clans attached to this event. Purple Moon Ancestor had shown up to have a face-to-face conversation with Dear Bugmaster's body personally. How honorable was that? At that moment, Dear Bugmaster had the highest probability of becoming the greatest hero of Purple Moon Holy Land universe. The 7 true masters had earnestly implored Shadow Dust Master and Sorcerer Sprite Master to do their utmost best, with the promise that 2nd True Master and 7th True Master would lead a big team of Universe Masters to render support. All out. We shall go all out for the slightest chance for survival. Shadow Witch couple went berserk. Dear Bugmaster was also going crazy from the glory he was basking in. Purple Moon Ancestor has made a personal appearance. This might be the most glorious moment of my life. I must do my very best. Luo Feng, meanwhile, was feeling a magnanimous amount of passion. The human race is weaker, the number of great beings is limited. I cannot compare with any of them in terms of head count. So I shall depend on myself, Luo Feng, and my own capability. The 4 great beings flew together. Occasionally, their gazes would meet, and their eyes were filled with enmity. As they flew ahead, the corridor started to widen, and the surroundings started to get brighter. Gradually, stone pillars started to appear on either side of the corridor. On every stone pillar, there were virtual shadows of different forms. There could be square shadows, or pyramidal shadows, or polygonal shadows. In short, every stone pillar would have one virtual shadow. Those on the left side of the corridor had shadows that were compacted together, and within these shadows, there were 1,000 different kinds of ripples. The stone pillars on the right side of the corridor had shadows that were loosely scattered and, thus, were just barely able to form a skeletal frame. On the left, there was a total of 123 stone pillars. On the right, there was a total of 10,080 stone pillars. What? While flying, Luo Feng, Dear Bugmaster, Shadow Dust Master, and Sorcerer Sprite Master wore expressions filled with doubts. They flew slowly, and along the way, they also carefully observed the 3-dimensional virtual shadows on the stone pillars. These 3-dimensional virtual shadows were all immensely huge, and within them, there were innumerable ripples. The 3-dimensional virtual shadows on 123 stone pillars on the left side corresponded nicely to the 3-dimensional virtual shadows on the first 123 stone pillars on the right. On the left, the 3-dimensional virtual shadows were compact and complete. They were well structured, like the Great Wall of China. The 3-dimensional virtual shadows on the right, however, only had a skeletal frame, as though many bricks of the Great Wall had been being taken out, causing the entire structure to become so shaky that it seemed as though it would fall apart. Every 3-dimensional virtual shadow had a variety of colors, emitting thousands of light rays. At that moment, the inside of the entire corridor was so dazzlingly beautiful that it looked like paradise. The foursome, including Luo Feng, advanced together and soon arrived at the end, the area in front of the 10,080th stone pillar on the right. All the light had gathered to give form to a figure, and that figure was Do and Dawn River. Shadow Dust Master and Sorcerer Sprite Master were the first to bow and pay their respects. My lord. This prompted Dear Bugmaster and Luo Feng to also bow in respect. Yet Do and Dawn River did not pay attention to the surroundings. His gaze fell upon the various 3-dimensional virtual shadows that were held down by the numerous stone pillars. Then, with a sigh, he asked, "Do you all see it?" Shadow Dust Master was the first to reply. "My lord, there is a total of 123 three-dimensional virtual shadows on the left, and a total of 10,083 dimensional virtual shadows on the right. Between both sides, the stone pillars on the left are perfect without flaws. It seems like they contain certain mysteries about secret techniques within them. However, those on the right are all imperfect." Dear Bugmaster added, "The first 123 virtual shadows on the right happen to correspond with the 123 virtual shadows on the left." "That's right," Duandong River said, looking at those dazzling three-dimensional virtual shadows that were radiating millions of light rays. Tears welled in his eyes, blurring his vision as he whispered, "This is my hometown, and this was the most popular form of entertainment during the time of my civilization. It is also a method for cultivating and training comprehension. Any major group or power, unique inheritance, and several others would frequently utilize it when they needed to test the comprehension capability of their candidates for various purposes. This was called Rhinoceros Emperor Game." Rhinoceros Emperor Game. Luo Feng, Dear Bugmaster, Shadow Dust Master, and Sorcerer Sprite Master all listened intently. Rhinoceros Emperor Game was created by an ancient, strong being, Rhinoceros Emperor, before he was annihilated. He had put his best effort into creating it. Rhinoceros Emperor's entire lifetime can be said to be sorrowful. He was a true hero, but in the end. Nevertheless, Rhinoceros Emperor Game was remembered by all the great beings of my civilization. Of course, his powers were much stronger than mine. After he was annihilated, this Rhinoceros Emperor Game was spread to the masses. In the early stage, countless great beings merely took it as a form of entertainment. Later, they discovered that it was extremely demanding on comprehension level. And often, studying the Rhinoceros Emperor Game was beneficial in increasing one's comprehension level. In our civilization, be it someone as young as a child just born, or someone as high up as a supreme existence, all enjoyed this game. For Emperor Rhinoceros Game, continued Duandong River, there is a total of 10,081 types of basic endgames. The right side has a total of 10,080 endgames. As for the so-called 10,081st endgame, it is the scoreless game. And on the left side will be the perfectly decoded games. Once you have supplemented the first 123 endgames and have brought them to completion, you will found the solution to the game. All four of them, including Luo Feng, nodded their heads to indicate understanding. Study the first 123 decoding methods, Duandong River said. You should be able to find out its basic secret rules. If you can't even comprehend the basic secret rules, then your comprehension level is much too low. Once you have completed comprehension of the basic rules, you can proceed to decoding. Solve the first 124 endgames on the left. When you reach the 125th endgame, you will be able to find the solution. I will give you all a longer time. Just do your best in decoding for a solution. Once the time limit is up, if you cannot even meet my most basic requirements, you will be eliminated. Of course, in this round of elimination, you will certainly face annihilation. Luo Feng and the other three were taken aback. Annihilation. Of course, you all have yet to truly come in contact with the inheritance, Duandong River said. Only after you have decoded the game up to a level that meets my minimum requirement and arrive at the next big hall, that is when you can start to get in contact with the inheritance. If you have yet to come into contact with the inheritance, then of course, there is no need for total elimination of the soul. Even if you are to be annihilated, it will just be your current godly bodies that will be destroyed. If you all have other bodies, you still survive. Duandong River informed them of all this in a straightforward manner. However, he added, the moment you all start to get into contact with the inheritance, as there can only be one possible heir, the rest of you will be facing complete annihilation of the soul. Look ahead. Duandong River pointed afar, then commanded, rise. Hong. 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 The ground in the middle of the corridor started to vibrate, the ground started to crack apart. At that moment, 4 light pillars radiating colorful light emerged. These 4 pillars belong to 4 of you. Duan Dong River looked toward Luo Feng, dear Bugmaster, and the other 2 great beings. Once you all have comprehended the secret rules, you can start decoding the game up till the 124th stage. When you have completed the game, use your godly power to draw an outline and transmit it within this crystal pillar. If the decoding is successful, the crystal pillar will prompt you. If the decoding is not successful, the crystal pillar will not show any reaction. Go now. You may have a long time, but it is limited. Within the limited time, whoever can decode up to 6,000 stone pillars will receive the inheritance from 1 pulse of my Duan Dong River. Of course, to be able to decode 6,000 of them, this person is bound to have a bright future, and the success achievable may be even greater than mine. But I guess that none of you here will be able to achieve that yet. Just try to meet the basic requirement within the limited time for now. The one who can decode the most at the end will gain the upper hand when it comes to the inheritance. Duan Dong River's gaze swept across the 4 of them, including Luo Feng. Then he vanished into thin air. Duan Dong River disappeared, and in this spacious corridor, there were 123 three-dimensional virtual shadows on the left and 10,080 three-dimensional virtual shadows on the right. Luo Feng, dear Bugmaster, Shadow Dust Master, and Sorcerer Sprite Master all felt an intangible pressure. Game? Entertainment? Shadow Dust Master whispered. I can't believe Duan Dong River has chosen us only to use this game from his ancient civilization to test us. You fool, dear Bugmaster said in a cold voice. You really take this as a game? Weren't you listening? That ancient civilization, from the younger generations to the Supreme Masters, almost everyone liked this Rhinoceros Emperor game. Besides, so long as we are able to decode the game up to the 6,000th stage, we may be destined for achievements that were greater than that of Duan Dong River Wu. That would be the same as saying that breaking through reincarnation eras will be an easy feat. The hearts of Shadow Dust Master, Sorcerer Sprite Master, and Luo Feng burned with passion. Breaking through a reincarnation era. Enabling one's own clan to attain eternal existence. There was no other greater glory that one could ever ask for. Let my human race exist for eternity, Luo Feng hoped silently. Dear Bug Master shared the same fervent wish. Purple Moon Ancestor regards this with such importance. He has long ago transcended the reincarnation eras, and his power was incomparably powerful. If he holds this inheritance in such high regard, then this inheritance is apparently extremely important. I would like to see this so-called Rhinoceros Emperor game for myself, and find out just how impressive it is. I don't believe that I am unable to decode the game up to the 6,000th level. The hearts of the great beings burned with passion. Shadow Dust Master, Sorcerer Sprite Master, and Dear Bug Master were self-proclaimed universe masters. Their conscious minds were able to revolve at extreme speeds, and that was extremely scary, as in a mere second, there could be countless thoughts racing through their minds. Naturally, they had what it took to gain the upper hand in the game. Luo Feng did not lose out to them in mastering the game. I am extremely accomplished in the decoding diagrams of secret engravings, Luo Feng said to himself. This diagram of secret engravings and the Rhinoceros Emperor game are both three-dimensional, so simply at one look, one can see the various secret engravings. These two have a common point, and even though I left the space of the black-striped stone pillars many hundreds of years ago, my consciousness has remained with the black-striped stone pillars to work on my comprehension of the laws and studying the secret engravings. With a time velocity that was faster by 3,000 times, my achievement in the studies of secret engravings is now much higher than before. Purple Moon Holy Land Universe. Ancestor. Dear Bug Master's other body looked up at the vast sky. Respectfully, he said, I am comprehending a method of the ancient civilization used for testing levels of comprehension, Rhinoceros Emperor game. I will need to decode enough stages within a limited period of time, so now, what I need is a space where time velocity is extremely fast. Purple Moon Ancestor knew everything that happened within the Holy Land universe. Rhinoceros Emperor game, said a gentle voice. I know that game. It is very difficult and profound. You must give your best. I will send this body of yours to Circle of Time, where time velocity can be maintained at 10,000 times. Your true body will stay here in universe boat to observe, while your consciousness can remain in the Circle of Time to continue comprehending. Sorcerer Sprite Master and Shadow Dust Master also went to plead with First True Master. Within the miniature universe, a part of space where time velocity was extremely fast could also be set up. That was where their other bodies were planted. Once he learned of the situation Luo Feng was caught in, Primal Chaos City Leader could not be bothered about anything else. Hari, your remote ocean body has to head for Huge Axe Creator's miniature universe as fast as possible. Teacher Origin has been suppressed for eternity. This has prevented the primal universe from maintaining a perfect rate of acceleration. In Huge Axe's miniature universe, a space can be set up to allow you to maintain an acceleration rate of 10,000 times. Primal Chaos City Leader personally retrieved Luo Feng's new remote ocean body and headed for Huge Axe Creator's universe. Inside Boat of Mausoleum, all the stereoscopic phantoms glowed in different colors. Luo Feng, Dear Bug Master, Sorcerer Sprite Master, and Shadow Dust Master all walked to the phantoms and stood in front of the stone pillars. They penetrated their godly power into the phantoms to study them. Even though I've lived longer than them, my brain might work faster, Dear Bug Master thought. Shadow, Sorcerer, and Lu Feng could feel the sense of hostility and competition in the air, though none of them spoke a word. They were the first ones here for the inheritance. They had the best chance. Inside the miniature universe of Huge Axe Creator, around a section of land were whirlpools and black mist that seemed to be destroying the world. Luo Feng sat at the top of the mountain with his legs crossed, watching the whirlpools in the distance. His finger pointed to the space, and traces of godly power penetrated it and formed a complex stereoscopic phantom. How amazing! Such a complicated Rhinoceros Emperor game. I've been trying to comprehend it for a while, but I have no idea how it works. What are the rules of this game? Luo Feng hadn't played any game seriously before. While still living on Earth, he'd been trying to better his life and the lives of his family. After he became a warrior, he had never had a chance to relax. However, now that he was standing among the most powerful beings in the original universe, he started to study the most popular game from an ancient civilization. He was very curious about this game. After all, it could test, or even improve, one's comprehension. What are the rules for this game? Luo Feng said again, studying it carefully. Although he had just started studying the game in Boat of Mausoleum, more than a day had passed outside the boat. Thanks to the speed of his brain, he could immediately finish studying the spaceship. However, he couldn't even decipher the basic rules for the game. 123 solved games in total, he muttered. 123 solved games, and 123 broken games. They correspond to each other. Light. Shape. Luo Feng studied it for more than 3 years. This is the game rule. Luo Feng whispered, smiling a bit. Rhinoceros Emperor game is a stereoscopic game, like a complex engraving picture. Rule number 1. There are 10,081 basic elements. Luo Feng said to himself. Rule number 2. On each microstereoscopic hologram, each basic element can only appear once. Rule number 3. Every microstereoscopic hologram will change, which makes the holograms appear different from each other. No two lines of the hologram can have the same picture. Rule number 4. Rule number 5. Rule number 9. In the ultimate solved game, the stereoscopic phantom formed by godly power has a perfect circle. The energies will exist forever. 9 rules, and all were extremely complicated. Even the mind of a universe master couldn't remember the position of a basic element. Countless basic elements formed a microstereoscopic picture. Countless pictures formed a small stereoscopic picture. Countless small pictures formed a medium-sized picture. Countless medium-sized pictures formed a stereoscopic phantom. Even universe masters wouldn't have been able to remember them. One needed to understand the mysteries behind the game. Just like performing techniques, one needed to understand the mysteries to truly perform it, as its complexity could not be memorized directly by the brain. Impressive! Luo Feng exclaimed. How complex the rules are. And each game formed is complete, and doesn't consume any energies. Impressive. Even the engraving of my miniature universe can't achieve a perfect energy circle. The first round of Rhinoceros Emperor game isn't as complicated as the miniature universe engraving picture. However, it is exceedingly complex, and the energies last forever. That's why it's perfect. No wonder Rhinoceros Emperor game is so popular in Duan Dong River Wu. Amazing that someone was able to create such a mysterious game. Luo Feng was excited. It was much easier to study Rhinoceros Emperor game after learning the rules, and he was immediately attracted to the game. Immediately, Luo Feng was addicted. It was interesting, challenging, and offered a sense of accomplishment. He admired Rhinoceros even more now for being able to create such a game. It had strict requirements for intelligence, and one needed to be at least an undying fighter to be able to contemplate the game. Duan Dong River said that in the ancient civilization, everyone, including the children, loved this game, thought Luo Feng. Does that mean even children of that civilization were undying? The idea flashed through Luo Feng's mind. Then he stopped overthinking and focused on contemplating the game. Dear Bug Master, Shadow Dust Master, Sorcerer Sprite Master, and Luo Feng were all staring at the stereoscopic phantoms. Finally, Sorcerer Sprite Master transmitted the voice. Shadow Dust. Shadow Dust. I've figured out the rules. What are the rules? Shadow Dust Master was overjoyed. This goddamn game. I've studied it for a long time, yet I still have no idea how the rules are. The rule is, and Sorcerer Sprite Master notified him. Shadow Dust Master was exhilarated. Of course. Ha ha. No wonder I couldn't figure out the mysteries behind these phantoms. The connections between these stereoscopic pictures are so complicated. Sorcerer Sprite, we both know the rules now. How about the other two? They both glanced at Luo Feng and Dear Bug Master. Dear Bug Master and Luo Feng stood as still as sculptures. Don't worry about them, said Sorcerer Sprite Master. We can communicate with each other and comprehend those together. We'll be way ahead of them. That's right. When the second true master and others from our race come here, we'll have a better chance. From the 3 universe eras to the 2 holy lands, great beings from almost all the powers were heading toward Universe Boat. Great beings from the Heaven Clock clan was the first to arrive. 100,000 times faster than light speed, a broken shadow was roaming the space outside Flame Ice region. It was approaching Boat of Mausoleum at high speed. Jittery Sea Master, Red Lark Master, and the Silent Rock Giant Master were all looking at that shadow. It's a Universe Supreme Master. That broken shadow immediately slowed and stopped in front of the gate. The 3 Universe Masters were horrified and took a step back. Shadow Clock Demon Master. The 3 Universe Masters all looked at the outside. A black clock shadow floated outside the gate. Then the shadow dissipated. Followed by a ripple, a weird elder with long hair that had billions of small black clocks on it appeared. There were even clocks on his eyebrows and body hair. This was the typical outward appearance of a creature from the Heaven Clock clan. Shadow Clock Demon Master. The 3 Universe Masters gave a salutation. Ha! Skeleton Race, thanks for the news. Shadow Clock Demon Master laughed. 3 great beings from my race are rushing here. 3 forces showed up. Go to that control room, Shadow Clock Demon Master ordered. He looked at Jittery Sea Master. You know how to go. Of course, said Jittery Sea Master. This is the map. A trace of godly power flew outside his body, and a complex map was formed, leading to the center palace. It was a simple route, and it was easily understandable. Great. Shadow Clock Demon Master nodded. Then go. Shadow Clock Demon Master took a look at the 3 Universe Masters from the Heaven Clock clan and added, the hope of our race is borne on your shoulders. Okay. Okay. We'll make it or die trying. The three universe masters were also excited. They flew to the control room like three streaks of light. After half a year, in front of the gate of boat of Mausoleum. How are you stop us from getting in, Shadow Clock Demon Master? Do you want to fight us, the first ancestral god school? Get the hell out of here. Shadow Clock Demon Master. 6 universe masters had gathered in front of the gate. They were all universe masters staying around Flame Ice region. They had come here after hearing the news. However, Shadow Clock Demon Master needed to take care of his race. He needed to stall any other great beings as long as possible. Humph. Shadow Clock Demon Master stood there, ignoring them. A powerful force tore apart the surrounding space and time. Shadow Clock Demon Master was horrified and looked toward the force. Such a strong force, he said. Which universe Supreme Master is it? I've never seen you. A beam of light rushed into the gate. Shadow Clock Demon Master didn't dare to resist it. He could tell that the palace true treasure was a supreme true treasure. Its powerful force permeated the surroundings. An elder in a white cape surrounded with leaves landed. He glanced at Shadow Clock Demon Master. You are, Shadow Clock Demon Master frowned. Eastern Emperor Holy Land. Humph. The white-caped elder didn't even want to take one more look at Shadow Clock Demon Master. He waved his hands and suddenly, 20 universe masters, 200 universe knights, and 2,000 undying fighters appeared. Go, he ordered. Get the inheritance for our Eastern Emperor Holy Land. Yes. All the great beings rushed in. The skeleton race had given the map to Eastern Emperor Holy Land a long time ago, in an effort to befriend them. I, North True, haven't been in Universe Ocean for more than 10 universe eras, the white-caped elder said, glancing at the others. If Purple Moon Holy Land and the other powers haven't arrived by now, they never will. The white-caped elder waved his hands, and a giant black oval blocked the gate. Now that I'm here, let's see who can get in. The white-caped elder took a step and merged with the black oval. This video will end here.